Well, it's the first working day of the week and the hustle and bustle has started in earnest. Good morning and welcome to Business Morning on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos, Nigeria. I'm Harriet Agbinyi. Well, the Securities and Exchange Commission in 2013 worked to improve not only investors' appetite for the Nigerian capital market, but the general performance of the market. Now, to achieve this, the capital market regulator came up with new rules and regulations. Although most capital market operators welcomed some of these rules, some faulted the timing, arguing that the market is still recovering from the global meltdown. Well, most operators believe that sufficient foundation has been laid by the Securities and Exchange Commission for the capital market to thrive this year. And so today on the program, we'll be looking at the performance of the Securities and Exchange Commission as a regulator of the capital market and some of the initiatives, rules and regulations that will most definitely shape the market this year. I'll be joined on the program by two gentlemen, I beg your pardon. Vincent Adubo is the Director, Membership and Student Affairs of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers and the Head of Research from BGL PLC, Femi Ademola. You can be part of the conversation. Please send your comments or questions to businessmorning@channelstv.com or my Twitter handle @Harriet Agbin. Well, trading is ongoing at the Nigerian equities market. Now, the market opened for business at 9:30, and we'll be speaking with Rotimi Fakayejo in just a moment to get an update on the market. But let's review trade from last week. Now, the all-share index ended the week at 41,480.62 points, with a marginal gain of 0.07% and a market capitalization of 13.27 trillion naira of equities listed on the main board of the exchange. Now, 34 equities appreciated during the week, but investors favored small and medium cap stocks. The top 5 gainers for the week are IHS, Royal Exchange, Mammoth International, Learn Africa, and John Holt PLC. On the flip side of the price movement chart, 47 equities depreciated in prices, higher than 18 equities of the preceding week, led by Portland Paints, Con Oil, Africa Prudential, Pharma Deco, and NEM Insurance PLC. For the week in review, the NSE Lotus Islamic Index and the NSE Industrial Goods Index were actually the only indices that appreciated. The NSE 30, NSE Consumer Goods, NSE Banking, NSE Insurance, and the NSE Oil and Gas Index appreciated during the week by 0.56, 0.49, 3.20, 3.00, and 3.08 respectively, while the NSE ASM closed flat. And 1.72 billion shares exchanged hands in 29,600 deals and valued at 22.44 billion naira. Well, Rotimi Fakayejo joins me now live from the trading floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Good morning, Rotimi. I'm glad you could join us.
Good morning, Harriet.
Now, let's look at the market activities from last week. It was a full trading week with no breaks or holidays. Now, did the daily market sessions meet investors' expectations?
Well, I think to a great extent it did. We saw some very strange trading day the very first part of the week, except for some sustenance maintained by Dangote Cement PLC, which actually marred the effect of those stocks that actually went bearish. The first 2-3 days we saw the market going up. Thereafter we saw a downturn when Dangote Cement shed so much waste. And on Friday we saw at least a little rebound, and that ultimately made the market to close up at about 0.07%. I think by and large with what we've seen so far, I think the year had started so well. So far for the year, we've seen a positive change of 0.37% in the all-share index on market capitalization. And I think for us to have that in the first week of at the end of at this time of the year, on the 13th day, I think it's quite substantial. And I think that trend is definitely going to be upkept. And I see a lot of investors taking having more confidence and coming in with more fund into the market. And I think for respective stockbroking firms, I believe they've been getting more orders than about this time last year, and I think that definitely impacts a lot, and we believe that investors' expectations are going to be met ultimately.
Well, Rotimi, for the week in review, it seems investors favoured medium and small cap stocks. Why is that?
Well, I think basically the trend is not far-fetched from the fact that some of these high-cap stocks, whenever they are dropping, they drop very well. And if they are gaining, the gain is not so is not commensurate to the rate at which it loses sometimes. Although ultimately we still see it maintaining the position that it is. I think for the middle cap stocks, I think they still have a long way to go. There is still so much potential in the various stocks, and I believe that if by doing that, by investing in such, especially those that have good fundamentals among them, I think they are still very much online to make very good returns on their investments.
Now, Rotimi, looking at the sectoral indices, only the NSE Lotus 2 and the Industrial Goods Index appreciated for the week. Let's talk about Nestle, for instance. How did the equity perform last week?
Well, I think for Nestle, last week wasn't really what ordinarily would have expected it to be. But I think for the price that it is right now, the results will not be too far from now before coming out. And I think the stock is highly concentrated in a few hands. And those ones that have it hardly sell. And for that reason, there's every good way, even there's every good reason to support it, that even if there is a drop, we definitely will see it come back again. And for the way it fell last week, I think it was still here and there. And I believe we won't get anything much as well this week. I think except when the result the release of the result is tending very close.
What about stocks under the NSE banking index? Because we also noticed that most of them didn't fare very well last week, because the index actually finished a week in negative territory, dropped about 14.48 basis points. That's 3.20% off. Well, Rotimi, what I'm saying is that we also noticed that last week the NSE banking index actually finished in negative territory as well, because it seems like the banking stocks didn't really perform very well. It finished about 3.20% in negative territory. Why is what's happening with the stocks?
Well, a lot of investors are very apprehensive about the banking sector stocks, and I think the third quarter release, there wasn't so much significant change in their for many of them in their turnover and their bottom line. And I think for the ones that investors really look up to so much, which is first FBN Holdings, I think they were greatly disappointed with the result that came. And I think the result, the statement coming from the CEO of that bank, that there's really no likelihood of the auditor report being different from the 9-month result that we audited 9-month report that we are seeing. I think it's really not a delight to investors. And I think with the way it stands, with so many policies coming here and there, especially with the fact that the CAR requirement, which has been moved from 10% to 15% for foreign for their operations outside Nigeria, I think is really unsettling them, and I believe that this is really one of the reasons why investors are shying away from the stock. And I don't really see much of interest coming there quickly because of these various developments that are there. And I think the way it seems, a lot of other policies that may be coming up may not really be in the advantage of the banks, and they allow more tightening on their operations, and that also will imply that it will make them to be able to, that way they won't be able to make as much profit as would have ordinarily been expected. So invariably what we are seeing right now is a lot of investors trying to at least balance their portfolio, move a little to a safer sector where that is not regulated like the banking sector, and I think that is why we are seeing a lot of bearish trend in some of the securities in the banking sector.
Well, what's the move at the market this morning?
Well, as it is, the market is still at pre-open stage, and right now it has gone to pre-open auction, and I think in a little while the market is set for continuous trading. So until then, for the situation it is now, I think for a stock like Owando, there is still the investors are asking to buy at over 5% above the price that it traded last week. And I think by the time the market opens to continuous trading, we'll be able to know which direction various stocks will go today. But for now, it's still close to call. I can't really say exactly how it's going to be. But once the market is set to pre-open,